I'm making a video game with underwater mechanics. In this devlog, level selection map, final level for the second world. In the first attempt for creating the world map, I created the selection and movement myself. I decided to revisit that idea by using buttons on a world space canvas since the input system should be able to navigate freely between them. I started by creating the level selection button, which required a custom editor in order to extend the button script and edit its properties. As my first test, I checked that selecting the button would load the level. Afterwards, I made a temporary panel that follows the selected button. This dialog will display information for each level: chests available versus gathered, best score and time. The next feature I implemented was displaying the unlock criteria for locked levels. This was also an opportunity to move away from the switch case way of doing things. I originally wanted to be able to edit the rules similar to how colliders are edited in the editor. However, you can't attach game objects to scriptable objects, and I wanted each rule to live with the level settings object. I asked for some help on Discord, and Captain Coder gave me a great suggestion. With the suggested structure, creating the quantity and quality scriptable objects was fairly easy. I was able to edit them with the default Unity window without needing a custom editor. Since the rules are a scriptable object, the level settings can have a reference to them too, which is what I wanted. With the setup in place, I added rules to the first 6 levels. For the lock info panel, I set up the same follow mechanism and made it display a static image just to get things working in test scripts. The next step was to get dynamic rules working in a panel which could display the color of the chests. I updated the panel to load the rules for a level when you select it and found a bug where I wasn't clearing the previous state. So I fixed that and the panel now works correctly. The last UI component I made was the progression bar, which displays the amount of chests you've collected. With all the pieces in place, I copied the scene and removed the test components, creating new versions with clean code. Here's what the map looks like. I also tied in the pause menu and ensured the input system correctly enabled and disabled the right map. The map art may be reworked at some point, but it's a good stepping stone for now. For the final level, I wanted to have a shape similar to the castle in Mario 64. I made a sketch with 3 towers, with the middle tower being taller. I started by outlining the towers and making a general play area for the level. Using the blockout from the 6th level for the first world, I compared the dimensions to ensure they were about the same size. The initial sketch didn't have much detail for the interior, so I drew some shapes in MS Paint to better guide me. I then worked on blocking out the entryway. Prior to filling in more details, I did a distance check between 2 of the towers and the entry. This felt slightly too big, so the entry became a bit smaller. I started by filling in the details of the left tower, which would be the easiest path to a chest. After detailing the middle and right side, I ran through the blockout to check that distance could be covered in under 90 seconds. I then started laying out the traps and running through the level, adjusting sections that felt too hard. Prior to adding the collider tiles, I had an idea to add some diagonal section to the right tower and decided to redo that side. With the new shape, I updated the traps and that part of the level felt much better. Happy with the shape, it was time for the art pass, starting with the collider tiles. Similar to the other levels, I gave better definition to the towers when I added the filler tiles. While filling tiles, I noticed some of the diagonal shapes didn't blend correctly, so I created new ones in Asebrite and updated the map. There was a special 26-degree tile blending with a 90-degree tile I also had to add. When I got to the filler, I realized the water collider needed to be behind a 26-degree tile, so I created a new tile map and updated the sorting layer, which I initially moved up and caused a bug that let you go into the level. As always, then I did a few run-throughs with the final art. And for the final touch, I updated the world map to allow this level to be selectable. Here's a high-level overview of this level. That's it for this devlog. My focus for the next part will be determine the unlock rules for the second world. Update the scoring system and scoring UI. Set up Steam leaderboards. Until next time.